Good morning. I had a church experience at LDS yesterday, and I wasn't going to make another video, but I thought about it more, and I have to talk about it because this paradigm of cognition is so unique compared to all the other religions out there because of how it's set up. It's very truly remarkable. And also I wanted to clarify, because when the Mormon missionaries came over to my house, I didn't recognize the language they were utilizing was talking about their literal structure of the organization of how their church is organized, because they were utilizing terms like prophet and apostles and authority and things like that. And I was thinking they were talking about biblical stories, and I was confused why he would start that way. But then I recognized, no, he was actually just talking about explaining the overview of this church hierarchy, of the organization, right? It's just like if you go into, what other terms do other churches use or paradigms? Like priest, deacon, bishop, those types of things. It's just the same hierarchy. And so anyways, when I went to the service, also, I did research, because they prefer you to wear a skirt or like a dress or something. But I donated all my stuff. I donated so much clothes. I realized I don't even own a dress or a skirt anymore, besides my old military uniforms. I wasn't going to show up in that. So I came in jeans, and so I already stood out. And I just stood there for a second, and people, because I was meeting my friends there, our mutual friends that I'm familiar with, and people came up to me and just greeted me. I didn't even see them like do this. Usually you can see people when they go up and down like that. They didn't do that. They just kind of were like, hey, like they recognized I was out of place, and they came up to me and were like, hey, what do you need help finding something? Truly remarkable. And then the service itself, though. Okay, back up real quick. Every paradigm of cognition that humanity has to offer, again, is a schoolhouse. It's a learning opportunity. It's a pursuit of understanding. And so with this framework, this framework, Mormonism, is so unique across all religions, and I would almost argue other frameworks as well, because they embrace fear and they embrace different things that allow for life skills to develop. And so, like, for instance, their services, they don't have a single person up there. Usually a religion has some sort of person that's in the churches or the learning facilities to speak and give a lesson, usually every week. It's usually the same person. Mormonism doesn't do that. They have people from the members of the audience. They usually have like a youth, 2 to 3 people, a youth, someone, different ages, that get up there and they ask people, hey, would you like to give a talk this week? And yesterday they have a lesson plan, right? And when I say lesson plan, like, I guess the head of the headquarters creates like a itinerary or like a lesson plan. So like yesterday, the concept was, hey, we're gonna talk on families. So just talk about what family stories or what family means to you, or the importance of it. And it was cool because there was a youth there. She was in her teens or young teens, and then there was a middle-aged woman that spoke, and then there was an older gentleman, a retired gentleman that spoke. And they all, even the older gentleman, sorry, one thing that's remarkable, they all, or hold on, let me back. I'm so excited about this because I've never experienced something like this within a religious framework before. It's truly unique. And it's a self-sustaining mechanism, because it allows people, right? They're going and attending these services is them getting a chance to practice facing their fears, because of how the organization itself is set up. Every service, you have members that come up and prepare their thoughts, right? Because they spoke on family and what that meant to them and how it related to the church's lessons or the church's doctrine, right? Every course, if you go to a college course, they're going to have required readings that you have to read, textbooks, right? Mormonism is no different. It's a learning cognition. It's a learning schoolhouse. It's a learning opportunity. Their doctrine, they have 3 textbooks that are required for them to read and be familiar with in order to navigate the learning aspects of how the framework operates. And I have no problem with that. Sure, they use language that is familiar, that's more religious in orientation, but underlying, it's just learning. It's just pursuing learning, and they're doing phenomenal at it. Because another thing that I saw across the board, a lot of people, the majority of them, were unafraid to express their internal state of emotion. Like the elder, for instance, the retired man, the last one that spoke, he said he was obviously nervous, and he said, I'm uncomfortable and I'm afraid of doing public speaking, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this. And he spoke on fear. He spoke on facing your fears and how, and it was cool, and I don't think he caught it, but at the end he said, facing your fears is a lot easier when you have the support of your friends and family and people around you that love you. And his message actually didn't even invoke the utilization of any sort of doctrine. He just spoke about his stories, about facing his fears, and how much it's easier when you have you're surrounded by a community that enables you to pursue that and pursue discomfort and unfamiliarity in a place of familiarity. And that's exactly what the service was like. And it was so cool. Never before have I experienced that. And the second woman that spoke, she cried, and her expression, her authenticity is what draws people in. It was so extraordinary because there's no hiding about how they felt. They truly just expressed themselves with genuine authenticity, and it was embraced. And that does a lot for a human cognition. Ooh, getting emotional because I've never been to a church that is so welcoming of the human to express themselves and to learn and grow. People openly spoke about how they were afraid of things, and they said, but that's okay because blah, 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 blah. Who cares if they credited God or what language they utilized? The point is, they openly said into children, right? I attended the church Sunday school, or the kids Sunday school, because I wanted to experience something that was simplified down to a youthful level. And it was remarkable because in that, they've already experienced multiple people getting up on stage and raising their fears and expressing emotion openly and being embraced. And then with that, we went to the Sunday school lesson, and the teacher just got a new opportunity, and she was scared of it, excited but scared, because she had loved her Sunday school class, or teaching that, holding those lessons or helping with that. And now she's getting an opportunity to move to a different position. And it was hard and scary for her, but she was so excited for it. And she expressed that. And she even told all the girls, she was like, I'm really scared for this opportunity, but I'm so excited for it. And she was crying, and she was like, I'm so excited to face this and have this moment, but man, am I scared. And it was cool, right? Imagine what that does to a child, an adult, someone they look up to, is visibly expressing their fear. It's clear she's afraid, but she's still doing it. She's still going for it. And so it tells them, hey, she's scared. I feel that same way, but she's still doing it. I think I can do that too. I think I can try to, learn this new instrument. I think I can try to make new friends. I think I want to go on that field trip. That's what it does. That sort of environment, and they don't realize it. And I talked to my friend that I went with, because he didn't recognize, because he's used to it. It's so routine for people within the framework that they have trouble necessarily perceiving the extraordinary things that are occurring within it. And granted, those extraordinary things are extraordinary, but also when it comes without discernment, right? Because there's two sides to everything. If it comes without discernment and balance, it becomes detrimental and a hindrance. And so with that, the church itself, the modality of cognition that they're learning and pursuing life is truly remarkable and unique. However, the one point of every schoolhouse, right, you're supposed to graduate. And no paradigms besides the education system have built into it mechanism to honor those and acknowledge those that graduate from that learning modality. And if you think about it, right, because all these religions are schoolhouses, and the education system is a literal schoolhouse without, I mean, it has nuances and layers, but I mean, it's broadcast as a schoolhouse, whereas religion necessarily isn't broadcast as a learning modality or a schoolhouse. It's broadcast more of a way of life. And the reason for that is because these frameworks fear that they'll lose people or lose membership or involvement, and that's not the case, right? The education system, people value it and love it so much that they naturally create jobs and seek jobs within it. They're not told that they must stay within the education. They graduate, right? The system itself is designed to have you learn and graduate and move on. But yet people still cling to it and come back to it because they love it and enjoy it so much. Same thing with any sort of religion paradigm or framework. If the religion that first utilizes and embraces that type of combination is going to be the one that is able to sustain a population because again, they're demonstrating, they're modeling life. If you're not able to have a model or cognitive framework that flows with life or models how life occurs, you're not going to be able to sustain it. You're gonna face more resistance as the cognitive evolution develops and expands across the species. And so really, I think Mormonism is honestly one of the few frameworks that I think will progress and actually be maintained, because they actually have these natural things, these life skills embedded into the framework itself. Again, the only issue is that the sustainability, because there's no graduation step, there's no flow, right? It's like, think about it as like a learning tunnel, and you want to go through the learning tunnel. You don't want to get stuck in it. So that's a little bit of what's going on. But even within the church itself, there's a lot of growth opportunities and learning opportunities that still can be explored even as adults, which the adults are doing, which is why it's so extraordinary. I don't know how else to describe that. And with that, right, I got curious because I wanted to experience another cognitive framework of learning. And so I tried to pursue Catholicism, or just reach out to it. So I posted on my threads, and it was so fascinating. And people aren't aware of this, but if you look at the approaches, right, of the different schoolhouses, the different learning modalities, the different paradigms of cognition, the different ways that people perceive the world, you can see which ones embrace life skills or the development of life skills and cognition a little bit more openly, because the approach or the people that Catholicism itself and people that believe in Catholicism, they're very timid and very almost like gatekeeper-like in their recommendations and things that they're sharing with me. Whereas Mormonism, when I expressed an interest in exploring it or experiencing it, I received hundreds of people sharing personal stories. There was even people that were against it, for it, whatever. They were okay, and they felt comfortable to share it. Whereas everything that I'm receiving with Catholicism is like, contact this number. You have to go to these classes. I highly recommend this. You shouldn't bother them because they're very busy. Do you see the difference? Do you see the cognitive difference, right? And the reason for that is because one framework embraces uncomfort and unfamiliarity openly, where one makes it a little bit more rigid and hard and challenging to grasp. It's kind of like learning through play versus learning through structure. And structure's good, right? Both have structure, but both have very unique approaches to how they do it. And with that, I always marvel at Catholicism, because it is one of the toughest schoolhouses to graduate from, to be able to cognitively perceive beyond. And so I am unfamiliar. I've been to a Catholic service when I was a teenager because I wanted to experience it. I had no idea what I was doing, so I went with one of my friends. And my mom was so livid with me. It was hilarious. She was so mad at me. I was like, I just want to go see it. I just want to go experience it. There's nothing wrong with it. So I went to it, and I was so confused, but I loved the tradition. It just felt it just felt like I was attending like Harvard, you know, like this old, not old, it's like ancient center for learning, for trying to achieve wisdom. And I love like the little pomp and circumstance around it. I think people don't necessarily appreciate that about the paradigm. It's a dual-edged sword, right? Because the pomp and circumstance and the ritual allow for structure, but it gets lost in the nuances if you're not able to perceive the layers and depths and the paradoxes that involve. And so I keep trying to, I refuse to learn and research and read anything about Catholicism beyond what I have personally experienced or read online or heard in conversation or with people, because I want to learn firsthand through experience. I want people that believe the framework, or that are still within that framework, I want them to reach out to me and share with me how they interact or how they behave, right? Because if their framework, if their foundation for thought is based on that doctrine, then their actions are going to reflect it. And so it's very interesting to see the different approaches again, right? The basis of foundation, the cognitive framework, compared to Mormonism versus Catholicism. And again, both are equal, both are valid, both are beautiful and extraordinary, but both have unique learning opportunities and experiences that can only be found within those realms of thought. And I love it. And so I'm trying to get into Catholicism now, to be invited in and to explore it with someone without that same without fear being present, kind of like how I did with the Mormons. And honestly, it makes me almost want to, if I were to go back and want to experience something again, just something, an immersive experience that's truly inspiring to what the human cognition and potential that is there, I would go attend a Mormon service again. It was fun. I love watching people learn and practice learning and pursue it so actively. But right now I'm on to Catholicism. So I would appreciate anyone that shares their stories and opinions and thoughts about it, right? Because when I enter these frameworks, it feels like I'm exploring a whole unknown universe. And it's so cool. It is so cool. Like for instance, Catholicism, they have alcohol. Mormonism doesn't. So, you know, that aspect, right? I like alcohol. So Catholicism has alcohol. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go with that. Except they all share one cup. I don't understand that. So I don't know why they don't get their own cups when they go to service. Because a service with alcohol and learning, it makes it fun, you know? But you only get one sip too, how they did it. So that was weird. But also with that, they have all these people that they, saints and stuff that they set up. So to provide examples and demonstrations of living without fear and things like that. But it gets caught in the nuances of the language. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying trying to get an invite or someone to engage with me as openly as the cognitive framework of LDS did. But the gatekeeping process that Catholicism has in place is actually unique and beautiful in itself, right? It's almost like filling out an application to try to apply to get into like an Ivy League school or college. It's not easy to get into like a prestigious college, and Catholicism, you know, wants to not make it easy for anyone to just walk up and receive their teachings. And so I get that. Yeah, they have pride and they value what they've built, and so they want to make sure that someone has gone through the prerequisites to attend their schoolhouse. So I'm having fun trying to experiencing the gatekeeping process, but also experiencing engagement from people within the paradigm. So yes, I had to make a video because, again, I was so inspired by the system that LDS sets up. So, and Catholicism. So, all right, bye.